And welcome back to the Christmas series, and today is January 1st. When I started working in 2012, I started off at a call center dealing with pharmacies. It was alright, but the schedule was a bit crazy since I got Wednesdays and Saturdays off, and sometimes the hours would fluctuate. It was pretty big, the office, and I remember having to walk for a few minutes through the security doors to get to the main floor. And that's the thing too. The main floor kept shifting from one end of the building to the other. Frankly, I like the main floor being at the other end of the building. I know it was a longer walk to get there, but you had to scan your badge to get through the security doors. The other floor at the other end of the building was just open. I felt kind of vulnerable. Anyway, having arrived at work at the other end of the building, I carried a backpack with folders of paper that had all the guides and instructions on how to do the job. I often wondered just how hard some jobs actually are, because I've seen people who are paid six-figure incomes and do jack shit, and they're valuable assets. And yet they're the first to get the payout because of some certain type of quality or qualification that still befuddles me to this day. I remember telling a coworker one day that I thought about retiring one day to the country to become a beekeeper, or an apiarist, if we're being technical. He seemed amenable to the idea, but I can't help but think if he thought we'd be doing it together, because I didn't. I mean, he seemed overly fond of me too, and as much as I thought he was a cool guy, I felt that doing this beekeeping thing was my thing, and mine alone. I mean, it's not being selfish, it's just wanting to go off and do things on my own and have the opportunity to learn. I figured if anyone else was there, they'd just slow things down, make a huge mess, and not leaving me to it. I mean, it's one of the reasons why I like being alone. I mean, it's getting things done, and my god, they get done quickly. I can never understand why some people think that there's a need for attention showered on them. I mean, why partners decide to up and leave because they never see each other. I mean, they just narrow their scope and forget to see the bigger picture. I mean, it sounds like it. I mean, that's the curse, isn't it? We narrow our scope of the world and create little worlds in which we occupy instead of acknowledging the greater, wider one before our eyes. I figured that it would be a nice big plot of land, somewhere in upper South Carolina, where I'd retire to be a beekeeper. There's no land in North Carolina these days. I mean, that's since the New Yorkers came down here and began developing the absolute shit out of the state. I mean, it's like every New Yorker is imprinted with an instinct to replicate New York City wherever they go, and that isn't a good thing whatsoever. I've never been to New York, and I have no plans to go. I mean, I very much like it where I am, and I'm not a fan of change. And again, going back to the solitary nature, I figured South Carolina is large enough for someone to potter off to make honey and with bees and not be bothered. I mean, not that anybody would, but I'd very much like to be left alone. I mean, after all, isn't that the point of retiring?